Rob Gronkowski. Look, not sure the year, but he's definitely young and definitely a cow. I can confirm that. And he continues to be a nightmare on the field, along with many others. Oh, my goodness. I'm just looking at that now. All right, so let's run through some of football's most frightening players. Mike Rob, who's pretty scary. He looks so young there.
Yeah, I got to go with Myles Garrett. I mean, people talk about Myles Garrett, and I know he, pulled his helmet off and hit a quarterback before, but this kid is starting to realize truly how gifted he is. He leads the National Football League with 9 sacks, has 5 tackles for a loss, and all of that first and forced fumbles. So he understands how to take the ball away from opposing offenses. This kid is scary. You got to put a back to his side, a tight end to his side. He can totally wreck your offensive game plan if you don't put some eyes on him. I got you, Myles Garrett. Get scared, brother.
Yeah, let's go from one frightening edge rusher to an interior edge rusher. I mean, Aaron Donald, you want to talk about scaring quarterbacks? This dude is one of the most frightening defensive linemen in the history of the game. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He had 4 sacks in that Washington game alone. And when offensive linemen break the huddle, they're looking up through their face mask to see, where's 99? Is he on me? Is he on me? Am I getting help? Am I one-on-one right now on 3rd down? That's the most frightening play in football for an offensive lineman.
Sean O'Hara hasn't lined up in 10 years. He still has sleepless nights because of Aaron Donald. But listen, I'll give your fellow O-lineman, the interior guy, Quentin Nelson, some love here, O'Hara. And, you look at the numbers, Pro Football Focus, they're not as good for Nelson as they've been in the past. He had a back issue on the injury report earlier this year, so maybe he's not 100%. But you watch the film, this is still a guy looking for contact. If he goes about a second during a play without contact, he's looking, I need contact. I need contact. I got to hit somebody. And so that's why this guy is scared. You even try to burrow yourself in the ground, he'll come find you to make some contact. He is scary, Quentin Nelson.
He makes a habit of burying guys for sure. But you know what? I'm going with DeKalin Zacharias Metcalf. I'm just going to start calling him Dracarys because he really does breathe fire on the field. DK Metcalf, we saw this play earlier. You've seen it all over the place. Unbelievable the way he caught up to Budda Baker and just absorbed him. That was just his latest terrifying play. I screamed so loud at the TV, the dogs hit. It was very scary for all of us in the house here. I will never, ever, ever forget talking to him at the Combine and then seeing him in the green room at the draft in Nashville. And the fact that he fell and wasn't drafted and landed in that 1st round and landed at the perfect place with the perfect quarterback. He's in a great situation. He leads the league in yards per catch. He's averaging 22 yards per catch, which is insane. So I'm happy for him, and he is extremely terrifying. Dracarys. Also terrifying, you guys.
He is.
The entire NFC East, and we get a primetime NFC East game coming up this week. Lucky us. The last time we saw Carson Wentz, he beat the Giants in the final minute. He's been at his best when it matters most, though, over the last 2 weeks. 5 touchdowns, 0 turnovers in the 4th quarter, just 1 touchdown in quarters 1 through 3. But hey, he's coming through at the end there. Tomorrow night, the Eagles host the Cowboys, and the other quarterback is the story, as our James Palmer tells us.
Sunday night in Philadelphia, all eyes will be on Ben DiNucci, the former James Madison quarterback, getting his first career NFL start, and he had some advice from QB1 this week. On Wednesday, Dak Prescott told him to go out and be himself, to take the completions that are there, to make sure he trusts the players that are around him. Mike McCarthy also had the same message, but saying protecting the football is your #1 priority, which is why more than one Eagles defensive player told me this week, we expect Ezekiel Elliott to run the football 50 times in this game. Now, they do know that DiNucci does have some mobility, and there's going to be some wrinkles in the Cowboys' game plan to use his legs, and the Eagles are expected to blitz him quite a bit to put pressure on the young quarterback. But the matchup everyone wants to watch is Darius Slay following around Amari Cooper. Slay says he loves these assignments. This is what he does and what he wants to do to help his team win. Those guys in the secondary believe that Slay doing this allows them to play faster and more confident. Slay says what makes Amari Cooper so good is he is one of the best players in the league at his release at the line of scrimmage. That's where he wants to have his focus. That is going to be a matchup all of us are going to watch throughout Sunday night.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Okay, so 7th-round rookie Ben DiNucci is making his first start. No preseason games here in prime time against the division rival, the biggest division rival for the Cowboys with this relentless pass rush. Oh, and first place is on the line. So no pressure. Jeezy, this is like the definition of being thrown into the fire.
Yes, first of all, do not adjust your TVs. Yes, I did change shirts. I told you I was going to do that because of the moire effect from the other shirt. So I went festive with a little orange here. But now I'm going to talk about Ben DiNucci, a Pittsburgh guy like Mike McCarthy, and they have a history together. Joe McCarthy, Mike's brother, coached DiNucci in basketball, and they actually shared an elevator ride, Ben DiNucci and Mike McCarthy did, when James Madison was playing the FCS championship game in Frisco. McCarthy had just been hired. They shared the elevator ride together as a bunch of people, and DiNucci said, I was surprised that he knew who I was. No, McCarthy knew a lot about DiNucci, and you know, it's not ideal that two quarterbacks had to go down to get to DiNucci at this point, probably a little earlier than McCarthy wanted to, but certainly they are excited about him. They think he's got some ability, and he showed it off in practice this week, but man, this is quite the debut for him right here to go up against this Eagles defense in that pass rush.
He was asked this week if he thought the Eagles were going to come after him. Obviously, he was like, yeah, I would assume so. Bring the whole house. And yeah, that's what's going to happen, especially with this Dallas offensive line. And the fact that this is Ben DiNucci's first start. I mean, listen, this offensive line in Dallas, they've lost backups to backups. Watching them is like pouring Tabasco sauce in your eyes every week. So they're going to have a lot to handle with this Eagles pass rush. The Eagles, top 3. I'm just saying, top 3 in the NFL in sacks and quarterback hits. Jim Schwartz is a guy that if he doesn't have to blitz, then he would rather that to happen. So that means there will be more guys, hopefully, in coverage there to kind of confuse DiNucci. Plus, there's a lot of guys that, especially with the quarterbacks, only 3 healthy cornerbacks for the Eagles. So we'll see. That could play a factor. Another thing, though, to keep an eye on here, 5 guys are eligible to come off the IR, so they should get an influx of some health for the team as well.
Love it.
Yeah. Colleen, you're a little messed up talking about Tabasco sauce and Mike Nolan. That won't right. That's messed up getting that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I forgot.
It's all good. It's all good. But
it's Frank's right on.
It's funny. But my thing is, my thing is with this Dallas Cowboys team, and I know Jerry went out this week and said there is no void of leadership, but it does seem that way, right? Where is the leadership? Ezekiel Elliott, where are you, man? You know, we've talked all offseason, last offseason when you were getting paid, how, you know, you were the focal point of this offense, but yet you got 5 fumbles, 4 of them lost. You know what I mean? Where are you, man? Like, we need you to step up. The Dallas Cowboys need you to step up and be that lead back. Be the premier back of the National Football League. Be that dude, and I just don't see it. You can't tell me that Dak Prescott was the only leader of this offense, the only guy that was able to galvanize the team and bring everybody together. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, you average over 140 scrimmage yards against the Philadelphia Eagles, so I'm assuming you should have a better day than you've been accustomed to having over the past few weeks. But come on, man, you're one of the out of the top 13 rushers, you're one of only 2 rushers that don't have 100 yards in a game this season. You got to get back on track, big dog.
Yeah, look, this might as well have been our most frightening segment because the NFC East is scary, and these teams have both showed bad football. Colleen, you mentioned the offensive line for the Cowboys, and when you look at their 2 twin towers, right, Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins, both done for the year. All right, 2 of the highest paid tackles in the league right now, and they're not even playing for them. So, yeah, who would raise your hand if you thought Cam Irving and Terrence Steele were going to be the starting tackles? But guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles had Jordan Mailata starting at left tackle and Jack Driscoll at one point, too, and they're still finding a way to get production. The Dallas defense has been a problem, and they've paid a lot of money to DeMarcus Lawrence and Tyrone Crawford. Guess what? DeMarcus Lawrence has 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits, and he's one of the highest paid defensive players in the game right now. So they need more production on the defensive side of the ball. But the one shining beacon of light for the Philadelphia Eagles right now is Travis Fulgham. And when you watch film on this guy, man, he's jumping off of the page. This guy in and out of breaks, his acceleration's phenomenal. I watched him turn Marcus Peters around and run right by him. He has 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. He's been phenomenal. And I think when you look at what he's done since week 4, he's gotten more receiving yards and more touchdowns than any receiver in the NFL since week 4. So he and Carson Wentz, they've got a budding relationship. And against this Dallas Cowboys secondary that is just letting people run through the middle of the defense,